Hi everyone, Miss Phipps here, and today we're going to be doing a lesson on A Christmas Carol, thinking about the character of Belle. I have already done one video on Belle, looking at the breakdown of the relationship between Scrooge and Belle, where we learn that he prioritised money, wealth, greed, and gain over his relationship with Belle, and therefore she ends the relationship. If you haven't already done that video, go back and watch that. This one is about the second vision that the ghost shows to Scrooge, where we see Belle with her new family, and therefore we see all the things that are missing from Scrooge's own life. So like I said, it's important because we see Belle with her family, and therefore we see all the things that Scrooge doesn't have: compassion, love, kindness. We see the way that Belle and her family are aligned with the Cratchit family, so there are many similarities and parallels drawn out between these two families, and therefore Scrooge again is placed as an outsider with none of these things. We learn that Scrooge is alone, no surprise there. Belle's new husband, he comes in and he tells Belle, "Oh, I saw an old friend of yours today, Mr. Scrooge. His partner lies upon the point of death, and he's alone. He sat alone in his counting house, believe it or not." So we learn that Scrooge is alone. We also know that Marley died 7 years ago. So the fact that his partner lies upon the point of death, well, we know that this vision must be from 7 years ago. So Scrooge has been alone all of that time. And Scrooge is able to witness all that has been absent from his own life. So seeing Belle with her new family is just another reminder of all the things that Scrooge doesn't have. And ultimately, this is able to aid his metamorphosis even further. Let's read the scene then. They were in another scene and place, a room, not very large or handsome, but full of comfort. Near to the winter fire sat a beautiful young girl, so like that last that Scrooge believed it was the same, until he saw her, now a comely matron, sitting opposite her daughter. The noise in this room was perfectly tumultuous, for there were more children there than Scrooge in his agitated state of mind could count, and, unlike the celebrated herd in the poem, there were not 40 children conducting themselves like one, but every child was conducting itself like 40. The consequences were uproarious beyond belief, but no one seemed to care. On the contrary, the mother and daughter laughed heartily and enjoyed it very much, and the latter, soon beginning to mingle in the sports, got pillaged by the young brigands most ruthlessly. What would I not have given to be one of them? Okay, so let's look at this first quote in red. Not very large or handsome, but full of comfort. So this is the first quote that aligns Belle and her family with the Cratchit family. Later on, they are described as being not a handsome family. So just like the Cratchits, Belle is in this place that is not very large or handsome, and it's therefore emphasizing her lack of wealth. But regardless of this place, this room not being very large or very large or handsome, it is full of comfort. So the Cratchits, they symbolize generosity, compassion, warmth, and therefore Belle does as well. And the idea that it's full of comfort, well, again, this links to the Cratchit family, because they not only are they comfortable with one another, but they also offer one another comfort and compassion. So here, Dickens is saying that, you don't need money and possessions. Despite not having money or possessions, people can be prosperous and they can be comfortable emotionally. And that is something that Scrooge doesn't value himself. Belle and Bob, they both help to deliver that moral message that, you don't have to have money to be comfortable emotionally. And that's what he's saying to his reader. But Scrooge, he is set apart from them in that respect. Secondly, then, near to the winter fire sat a beautiful young girl. So we know already that throughout the novella, fire plays a part throughout. It's symbolic throughout of warmth. And we see the Cratchits, they're gathered around the fire, the miners, the men in the lighthouse, the roaring fires in the street, and the poor people, huddled round a fire. Fire is symbolic of warmth, and Scrooge juxtaposes all of these images with his coldness, but Belle, on the other hand, is united with them. And that's reflective of their warmth towards one another, and kind of that unity between the poor. Again, Scrooge is placed on the outside to that. Next one, the noise in this room was perfectly tumultuous. Well, we've got a bit of juxtaposition here, because tumultuous is kind of more of a negative sound, but the adverb perfectly, it juxtaposes this. And Dickens is saying that the poor might be like a chaotic life, but it highlights the value of family and family life. And this is something that we should long to have in our lives, you know, this perfect chaos, this perfect tumultuous noise. And again, that is something that Scrooge doesn't have. He sits alone, isolated in his cold and quiet house, in his cold and quiet counting house. But Dickens is drawing out this image of the perfect family life. You know, Queen Victoria at the time had a lot of children, and it was very common for there to be lots of children in the house, both rich and poor. And again, Scrooge is juxtaposed with this image and placed on the outside of it. And the next one then, mother and daughter laughed heartily and enjoyed it very much. So again, we've kind of got again, Belle is being aligned with the Cratchit family because we've got that laughter and that happiness within the house. They're always laughing and showing each other kindness and compassion, regardless of Tiny Tim being unwell. They still have that happiness within the house, and it shows the sincerity in the way that they treat each other, and the way that love and compassion characterizes family life. And Belle and Bob are both characterized by that. We also see lots of different images of family life. You know, we've got Fred and his family also having that laughter within their house at Christmas time as they play these games together. But Scrooge, again, is placed as an outsider to this and juxtaposed with this image of family life because it describes him at the beginning as being walking along the crowded edge of life. So again, he is outside of this happy, compassionate, kind family life. He's always on the outside, and he's distanced from what Christmas is really about, and that is spending time with your family, having compassion for one another, and being together. And the very last one, then, the narrator says, "What would I not have given to be one of them?" Again, showing that this image is the true image of Christmas and the true image of family. He really would have wanted to give anything to be one of them, just like Scrooge at that moment. And we see Scrooge throughout all of these different visions getting involved with the different scenes that are happening. Okay, and Scrooge's reaction then. Well, the first one here is the husband saying, you know, I saw him quite alone in the world, I do believe. And Scrooge says, "Spirit, remove me from this place. Remove me, I cannot bear it." So we see that these scenes are having the intended effect, intended impact on Scrooge. And he is changing and he's realizing his mistakes. So what I'd like you to do now then, there's 4 quotes. I'd like you to write these out one by one and annotate them and just summarize the things that I have said about them. Annotate them for meaning, but also thinking about the methods you would pick out. So for number 1, for example, well, I talk about the adjective handsome, and I talk about the noun comfort, and you know what these words tell us about Belle and her family and the way that they're aligned. She's aligned here with the Cratchits. So give these all a go, work through them one by one, summarize, you know, some of the things that I've said, and then either hand your work into myself or hand it into your teacher. So I hope you found this video helpful, and I will see you next time. Bye.